This week I'm talking more about blocking because I realized I wasn't quite finished. The swatch you're looking at right here is a properly blocked swatch. It's got ribbing at the bottom and stockinette at the top, and the ribbing is just barely pinned in place. And when I block this, I use my fingers to kind of smush it together because I don't want to distort the ribbing. Generally, when you have ribbing at the bottom of a project, it is supposed to be ribbed. And if you pull it too much, it's no longer ribbed. It becomes just a stitch pattern then. Here's a swatch, and it's exactly the same number of stitches as the other one, that has been overblocked. And notice how the ribbing has been pulled flat. And the reason I decided to include this is that frequently this is how the swatches are sent in for the basics course and for the master's program as well. Notice that the stockinette stitch is pulled too tight. It looks like lace. That's not the way stockinette is supposed to look. It's supposed to look like that. So you just need to be careful with the ribbing. Now, the one thing you never, ever want to do is get a steam iron too close to ribbing. It smushes it, it flattens the stitches, and it is no longer ribbing. Now, the other thing I have gathered for this video is some cable swatches. And cables are another area where knitters sometimes get just a little too enthusiastic. And it depends on what you want the final product to look like. Now, this is a swatch for a sweater that I did for cast on. And I wanted it to be smooth and flat, but I wanted the cables to really pop. So when I blocked this, I blocked it, but I did not stretch it at all. I smoothed it with my fingers to give it this look. Now, here are some other swatches for projects. Notice that this one, it barely even looks blocked. There is quite a bit of space between the cables. That is because that is how I wanted it to look in the final product. Now, by the way, these little guys are demo elastics that I sometimes use to mark where I am in the cable. This one looks like it's been more blocked than the other one, but it just actually has more reverse stockinettes between it. But when I block this and this one were blocked exactly the same. I wanted the cables to really stand out. Now, here's a swatch, and I'll pull back a bit, where I stretched the bejesus out of the gauge swatch because I want these cables, which are very large, to appear more embossed. And these are from a skirt that I did where the cables progressively got smaller and smaller. And so they were quite fat at the bottom, and I wanted them very, very flat. So I stretched this guy out. Depending on how you want the final product to look is how you should block things like cables and ribbing. But you need to be very careful that you don't stretch it out if that's not your intention, or you're not going to get the results that you want.